Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the On Second Thought Sports Show on the Mental Conditioning Podcast, Mental Conditioning Sports Podcast. We are here today. We're coming to you. We're back in the gym. I know we've been all kind of running around and on location, kind of doing a little bit of boxing stuff. And down in Las Vegas, they were just kind of doing some a couple times live while watching games, but we're here today. We are back in the gym, which is our favorite place. It's our home court to be able to do the show. A lot to talk about. We just finished watching the New York Knicks games, game number 3. Mm-hmm. We just finished watching game number 3 for the New York Knicks. I'm still rocking my New York Knicks, paraphernalia, even though it was a rough outing, a rough day, but you still have to feel good about where we are in the series, and we ain't going to waste no time. We're going to get right to it. Once again, we got a lot to cover today. NBA playoffs is hot. We'll talk a little bit of boxing as well. But let's get right to it. To the game today, and then we'll kind of just cover where we are actually in the series. Overall, how you guys feeling about. Let's first talk a little bit about today's game, and then just talk a little bit about where you guys think we are in the actual series with, I guess, obviously the loss that happened today. Aaron, you can go first. Whoa, let me introduce ourselves. We're trying to get started too quick. I am Elliot.
Isaiah.
Aaron, you can start it off.
I feel like the game today, kind of expected. It was going to happen. This was not going to happen. I was never under the influence that we were going to sweep the Boston Celtics. And for the way we've been playing, we didn't even really play any more different than we did game 2 and 1. We just kind of came out with the win in those 2 games. We just kind of locked in that fourth quarter. But I feel like the Knicks, we need to stop giving up the first quarter, because that's where we start. Like, there should be no reason why first quarter things start to get out of hand, like a 10-point lead. I just feel like that's the main problem for the New York Knicks.
Yeah. Isaiah?
I mean, when you think the Boston Celtics, you don't think 3 games in a row they're going to have a poor shooting performance. I mean, the only bad quarter I'm looking at was really the fourth. They put up 19, but other than that, 36, 35, 25, I think they had beyond 70 points at the half. So I don't think the Knicks have all season been the team that can be capable of scoring 70 points and a half. So, we got lucky, to get out of game 1 and game 2 with a win. Game 3, now we're facing the Boston Celtics. But if we can get one before we got to go back to Boston, then I'll feel a lot better about the series.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think we kind of need that one. A lot of people were saying that this was a must-win game today. I really wanted to get this game today, but I didn't necessarily think that it was a must-win situation. I think that, the pressure is still on both teams. I don't think that, just because the Celtics got the win today, I don't think that the pressure is completely off of them. I think that the pressure is still on them because they still need to. The Knicks still have the home court advantage. So I think Boston still should feel a little bit of heat to try to get. They need to kind of get this next game 4 because it's in Madison Square Garden once again. Of course, there's a little bit more pressure on the Knicks now because the Knicks have to feel like we really kind of need this game too. So, but I don't think it's one-sided pressure. I think it's pressure on both teams. To kind of get this game. It wouldn't be a good look for the Celtics if they went down, 3-1. And I want to touch it again, like Aaron. First of all, today's game was just, to me, what kind of expected. You're just hoping for the best as a New York Knicks fan. You're hoping for the best, but you can't really be surprised by what we saw today. The Boston Celtics were bound to really have a breakout game. They're a team that just shoots so many 3-pointers. It's unbelievable. And at some point, those 3-pointers are going to drop, as Aaron was saying. The games really haven't looked much different. First quarter, second quarter, even third quarters, the Knicks are not really necessarily playing well either, which is kind of good because that shows they have things that they can improve. And now it's up to the Knicks to have that explosive game where they play well, for 48 minutes. So they haven't had that yet. The Boston Celtics had that today where they just shot the lights out of the basket and played well, for 48 minutes.
That's true.
So I'm hoping that, it's the Knicks' turn now to turn it on, and Jayson and
Cat. I don't even know what's going on with Cat.
I don't know. What are you guys thinking about Karl Anthony Towns?
Allegedly, he said he broke it mid-game, but I don't. If he broke it, he would have been crying.
Hold on a second. That's what they're saying now?
No, that's what he said.
Oh.
Cat after I think he kind of scratched it on somebody's jersey.
Yes.
after he shot his free throws and whatnot, he kind of looked at the bench area and he mouthed like, I broke it.
Oh my God.
I don't think he broke it, otherwise his finger probably wouldn't
hang in there.
Wouldn't hang in there.
Right.
And the NBA today, he's out for the rest of the series. But I genuinely thought our biggest problem today was OG.
How many points did he have?
2.
Really?
Uh-huh. And I didn't really watch the second half too much, but what I've seen in the first half, they weren't really giving him the ball like that. Like, OG's, the third best scorer. Some people might say second best scorer on the floor, and I'm not giving him the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's no reason why OG should finish with 2 points in 30 minutes.
Completely unacceptable.
It makes no sense.
How much did Josh Hart have?
Josh Hart finished with 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Not great. Mikal, 12.
Not good. Not good. So, again, we're kind of back to the same thing we've been talking about. I know, let's stick with OG for a second. I know there was quite a few debates that we had during the game. I know one of the things that I think you guys were kind of talking about, I have an opinion on it too, was OG and what OG's offensive prowess is. And that, I'm not sure which one of you guys were stating that, OG is a spot-up shooter. And somebody else was stating that OG is more of a guy that you kind of give him the ball and let him do his thing. So talk a little bit about that, because I think that's a very good point, and that's a very good, speaking point as to, again, Jalen Rose. We had this conversation on the show before. Jalen Rose is a point guard, so what should he be doing? Should he be giving the ball?
Brunson?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Jalen Brunson.
I thought you were talking about Jalen.
I'm sorry. Jalen Brunson is a point guard, so what should he be doing? Should he be giving OG the ball and letting him operate, or should he just be waiting to, treat OG as a spot-up shooter?
From what I've seen all season and throughout this playoffs, OG doesn't strike me as a shot creator type of player. Sometimes he can bust a move, get to the rim, but he's never the type of guy bust a move, step it back for a 3. It's kind of you catch OG in his corner, or you catch him anywhere beyond the 3-point line. He's wide open already. Maybe we'll go for a little pump fake. But I don't see OG he doesn't strike me as a guy to put the ball in his hands and just let him work. I don't see him as that kind of player.
I mean, I disagree and agree. Obviously, all season OG has really been, catch and shoot kind of guy. But the times where OG Anunoby has gone off, the times where you give him the ball down the shot clock and you need him to get a bucket, he'll hit you with the calm little step back mid range from almost in the paint. That's his little shot there. He loves that little step back mid range shot. So I think he can shot create. And when the team, isn't really scoring that well, you got to put it in anybody else's hands. Mikal not had an off night. Cat 21 and 15, so not bad for him. But if Cat's complaining about his finger, you got to feed somebody else, and it's not going to be Josh Hart.
Yeah, I'm a little bit leaning towards what Isaiah just said. I agree. What we saw throughout the season was definitely that OG was more of a spot-up shooter guy. But the question is that all that he can do? That I agree within the offense, that's how they kind of been running him. But I kind of reflect on when JB went down, OG did a little bit more. And so, and again, in this cases like this, when you get into a playoff series, you have to throw something different at the other team. And I think that's what happened. The Knicks have to be careful to have to be able to throw a couple of different wrinkles. That's why I think you need a bench. Guys that kind of come off the bench, they gave Precious a few minutes today. These guys were livid. When Precious came in the game.
I wasn't.
But he played good. I'll give it.
He did. He had a good game. And I think, you have to have that. You have to have guys that come off the bench and kind of change the tempo sometimes of that, not necessarily the whole series, but of a given game. As you have a new wrinkle kind of come in. The kid, I know he did major playing time, but the kid Pritchard killed us today. He killed us. You know what I mean?
Boston would not have won that game without him.
Yeah, he just was phenomenal.
I just want to say something about OG. I just feel like in the playoffs, you can't really say that you can put the ball in his hands, because this goes back to your thing about if you put OG Anunoby's name on that board, he's getting shut down badly.
One of the games that we won, he had 30 points.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if you put his name up on the board,
he shut down
completely.
Well, look, the thing is, the good news, I won't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that as long as you have Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns on your team, OG's name is never going to go up on the board. I think that's the stop.
I'm just saying.
So that's the reason why I feel like, at a given moment, you're not wrong because everybody can't have the ball and dancing with it. But on a given times, I think that. Do you think? Well, that's the question. Do you think he that's not his game, that he can't do that?
I don't know.
I think he could. You know what I mean? Like I said, now again, there's a lot of players in the NBA, believe it or not, particularly championship teams. That guys on those teams can do things that you would be surprised, but they just don't. That's not what we need you to do. So you never see them playing that way. So, like you said, we don't know for sure, but I do lean more towards that. OG can do more things with the ball than we've seen him do. I would at times like to see him do that. Let's talk a little bit about Boston and what we've seen from them. I think that this is an interesting series because a lot of it is. Do you guys think that Boston is just playing poorly, or is it that Knicks are playing very very really really well? What seems to be the division in the series?
Both teams are playing poorly.
Both teams are playing poorly. Would you agree?
Yeah.
The shooting has been, horrific, and I think particularly for the Boston Celtics, even more so, the shooting has been terrible. And the Boston Celtics are a team that I think, really rely on good shooting. Their coach Joe is just big on he will not back off of we're shooting threes. We're going to live and die with the threes. So be it. But that leads me to another argument that we had today about the star player for the Boston Celtics, and that's Jayson Tatum.
Let me explain something. Averaging 18 on the series and didn't do much better this game.
Yeah.
You're a superstar, by the way. I'm just saying.
Jayson Tatum is honestly still due for an eruption game, and that's dangerous to say.
Jayson Tatum is still due for a huge game, but in regards to him on today's game, he had 18 points, but the man today
22 tonight. 18 points is his average on the series, but 22 tonight.
Yeah, 22 tonight, and the man today was Pritchard.
Mm-hmm.
So Jayson Tatum didn't have to, and Tatum hit a few huge shots early in the game. You can tell he was ready to go. You know what I mean? He set the tone, I thought, early in the game. But we talked a little earlier during the game about how good is Jayson Tatum and his status. And I made the point that I think that, and this is a little tricky only because we don't know, it's still early in the man's career. But we talked about Jayson Tatum and being, I think he's a surefire Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And Aaron just thought that was the most comical thing he's ever heard.
Foolish.
And foolish. Okay, so let me give you the floor to say, why would that be foolish? Now, let me just say, well, go ahead.
Jayson Tatum is still young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he could be averaging, he could be doing his thing in the season, but last year, he did not show up. He's not showing. Well, let me not say he's not showing up in the playoffs this year, but as a superstar, and the way you say he's leading his team, he should be doing more. Would you agree?
When?
You said last year.
No. I'm saying this year.
This year.
Talking about this year.
Okay. I wouldn't, because Series 1, he averaged 31 points per game. But this is the tougher series, and he's absent. So that's why I agree with him, and I don't at the same time.
Last year, not finished. Last year, won a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't win Finals MVP.
That's true.
Hot. Your leader of the team is not winning Finals MVP over Jaylen Brown. That's no disrespect to Jaylen Brown.
No, yeah.
But we all know who the clear-cut player really should be in Jayson Tatum. But he did not show up that series enough. They won that ring because of Jaylen Brown that year, and you cannot tell me otherwise because Jaylen Brown had the Finals MVP to show it.
Who did they play?
Warriors.
Dallas.
Oh,
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas.
I remember now.
How did he do that Warriors series?
Who?
Tatum.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was in the finals, though, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I think.
Can anybody look that up?
Oh, Tatum
But they were
played
in the
against-
finals, though, right?
Yeah.
How many times the Celtics went to the finals then? Twice.
with Tatum.
Yes.
They went 2022. 23. The 23 2 years? The 23-24.
Yeah.
So they went there. So I think they went back to back.
So they went to the finals twice.
I believe so.
At least twice.
I
With
believe
Jayson
so.
Tatum. So there is a guy like. So let me ask you this question then before I even go on the offensive attack.
21.
What?
Aaron said how much did he average in the Warriors series?
Yeah.
21 points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds.
If you take Jayson Tatum off that team, are they in the finals? Do they go to the finals? You saying it's the same team if you take Jayson Tatum off the team?
Who would their forward be? You know?
Sam Hauser.
No.
Sam Hauser.
So would you at least agree that Jayson Tatum, regardless, let's go. Like I said, let me finish.
Okay.
So
When you take any superstar off their team, then there's a whole different
my
story.
point. So that's what I'm saying. He is the leader of that team.
Oh yeah, 100.
Can you say, okay? Can we make the point and go, okay? Well, he had a poor series. Okay, whatever. That's fine. But he's the leader of that team.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if he's the leader of that team already, so you can really, to me, push 90% of the guys in the league. He's in a different room. He's been to I forgot he went to the finals twice. That's his team. I took my team to the finals twice. I got a little notes. The boy came in the league in 18.
Mm-hmm.
He averaged
17,
17, 18 season.
Yeah.
So he averaged 13 points coming in as a rookie.
Okay.
Whatever. 15 coming in the second year.
Okay.
Then he went to another level. In 2020, he averaged 23. In 21, he averaged 26. In 22, he averaged 30. In 23, he averaged 26. Went to the finals, lost. In 24, he averaged 26. Went to the finals, won.
Let me explain something. You think Derrick Rose is a Hall of Famer?
You said
Because in the way that you're explaining it,
Yeah.
if Jayson Tatum retires now, it's almost like a Derrick. Let me finish.
No, hold on. I didn't even finish my point. Because this is the thing. If you're going to make that point, and this is just the beginning of the conversation. It's hard because Derrick Rose's career did actually finish. So that's what makes this kind of tough. Jayson Tatum's career has not finished. So if I'm basing it off of these numbers that I have on my paper, yes.
I don't know. I say it's way too early.
Okay, that's it. That's fair to say that.
And second of all, I'm not gonna be picky about him needing another ring. I don't care. Okay, he can win another ring. Sure, that will definitely make him a Hall of Famer. And if he wins another ring, he better get that Finals MVP trophy
That's
as well.
not true.
He better get that.
That's
Finals
not
MVP.
true.
I'm not saying he needs it.
Not fair.
That's not a fair stat. The man is the man on his team. Are there times, honestly, to me, that makes you an even better player to be like, yo, I got Brown on my team.
Mm-hmm.
He's really good, and he's doing well. It's his matchup. Can Jayson Tatum just force the issue and be like, oh, I need to get the MVP? That's not true. That's not true. For years,
You said that. You said that.
You just said he has to win the finals, and you're making a big deal. You're making a big deal saying that he went to the finals and they won it, and he didn't get the MVP.
Gang, did I not just say that if he goes to the finals, he better win it again? But I'm not picky on him getting another ring.
No,
did
you
I
said
not just say that? I just said that.
Okay, go ahead.
Jeez, and down the line, I think if he continues these numbers, he will be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh yes.
But down the line, I feel like he should get an MVP as well.
So,
Listen.
my point to this is this. For him to say, this is what makes him look foolish.
Sure.
For him to say that, oh, it's a foolish statement that Jayson Tatum would be mentioned to be in the Hall of Fame, that's foolish.
Listen.
If you said, if you said what you just said, that's fair. Well, let me see the rest. But to laugh him off like his name is Precious or Chua, like, oh my God, this guy can't make. Yo, let the dude's numbers right now are Hall of Fame numbers at this moment. If he gets hurt tomorrow and he averages 12 points a game for the rest of his career, obviously he shouldn't go in. But off of these numbers, that's an insult to laugh at him and be like, that's a foolish statement to say that Jayson Tatum should go in the Hall of Fame.
Go ahead. Please.
Listen, all I'm going to say is, in Jayson Tatum's 8 years of playing basketball, he didn't win Rookie of the Year. He does not have an MVP under his belt. Nor does he have a Finals MVP under his belt. like Aaron said, I think if he were, to keep doing what he's doing, by the end of his career, he most definitely will be a Hall of Famer. But we're talking about if Jayson Tatum were to retire this season, he just doesn't have enough to be a Hall of Famer. Dude has 13,000 points, no rookie of the year, no MVP, no final MVP.
That's not a fair assessment.
How is that not a fair assessment?
Because obviously he's only played 7 or 8 years in the league. Of course, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying to you is that if he maintains these numbers,
that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying.
Because listen, when we ask
we're talking about retiring right now. We're not talking about maintaining these numbers.
No.
We're talking. With the topic of conversation, not if Jayson Tatum retires now, what's gonna happen?
Listen to me. That's what I'm saying. So again, you're trying to make it seem like I'm foolish because, of course, I'm not saying that anybody playing 6 years. Penny Hardaway is one of my favorite players, and I think he's one of the most talented players to ever play in the league. But Penny got hurt, and based off of those years that he had, if you ask me should he go in the Hall of Fame, I'll be like, nah, I don't think so. So I'm not foolish, and I'm not misguided by that. This guy's career, and you brought up Derrick Rose, the same problem. So I'm not suggesting that you can only go based off of these years. But the problem with this argument is that we're saying, and I said that before we got started, it becomes hard because when you're saying, what if he retired today? But so all I can do is basically say, well, with these type of numbers, and I'm not saying, because what you're doing is that you're adding on like, okay, this is not enough, but we would need the rest of the page. You need another 5 years to really have this true argument. But I'm just telling you based off of what I'm looking at right now. So if I'm looking at this right now, for me, I'm not assuming he's not hurt. So I'm not assuming that these numbers, 26, 30, 26, 26, 23, I'm not assuming that those numbers are going to turn to 12. If he seems to be healthy, I'm assuming that he's going to continue with those numbers for the rest of his at least healthy career. Would you guys say that's a fair statement?
Yes.
Do you think he's going to drop down to a 12-point scorer a game?
Unless he gets hurt.
Unless he gets hurt, which is fine. And I said that again. Penny Hardaway is one of the most talented players I have ever seen. Ever. But if you ask me, should he be in the Hall of Fame? The answer is no, because he got hurt and he could not play the same. That's fair. But with these numbers right here, again, I'm not even saying for sure that Jayson Tatum, I'm crazy that I'm defending a Boston Celtic. But I'm not saying that the guy should definitely be in. Of course we don't know. But to sit there and say, like, he exploded earlier, like, you are absolutely crazy to say, that's you didn't do that?
I know, I'm saying, I'm standing on what I said. That's what I'm standing on what I said. If Jayson Tatum retires right now, he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Again,
but listen, that's how the whole point of the conversation started.
Yes.
It's originated at home. That's why it's here.
Mm-hmm.
When we were watching the game at home, I looked at you and I said, are you telling me that if Jayson Tatum retires right now, is he a Hall of Famer? And you said yes.
Again, that's not a real fair question. Because we have to make assumptions here. So again, if I'm assuming, for me, if you ask me that question, why would he retire now after 7 years?
Don't look at me.
Okay, so
that's the whole point of this conversation.
Right,
that he's going to say at the end of this year that he's going to retire from basketball? Is that what you're saying?
No, listen, the conversation.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the premises of that question.
Listen, we were watching the game.
Yes.
And you said Jayson Tatum's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And me and Aaron looked at you and was like, what?
Yes.
Because when you say Jayson Tatum's a Hall of Famer, you're talking about Jayson Tatum currently, right now, is a Hall of Famer.
That's wrong. A player can come into the league right now. Right now, if you ask me about one of my favorite players, which is Edwards, right?
Ant-Man.
If you was to ask me, is Ant-Man a surefire Hall of Famer? My answer is yes. Should Anthony Edwards go into the Hall of Fame today? No. Clearly, the guy only got 4 years in the league. But if you're asking me, I mean, do I think he's on the path? Is this dude a Hall of Famer? Yes. You guys watch bowling. There's bowling. Bowling is a huge Hall of Fame thing. There's guys that are early in their careers, and you say this guy's a surefire Hall of Fame guy. Not to say that I'm saying that you should put Anthony Edwards in the Hall of Fame right now, but I'm just telling you guys be on a certain path that it's an insult to be like, That's ridiculous to Anthony. And you even say that Anthony Edwards is going to go into the Hall of Fame. That's foolish. No, I'm not saying Jayson Tatum right now. Of course, there's more information that needs to be filled in. But unless if you told me right now, like, Dad, this is what I think. Tatum is going to average 12 points for the rest of his career. Should he go to the Hall of Fame? No! But I'm just telling you, and I asked you, do you think he's going to average 12 points for the rest of his career?
No.
Do you think he's going to average 12 points for the rest of his career? Provided he's healthy. So I don't understand I don't understand what's the big outrageousness.
There's nobody in this room that's thinking Jayson Tatum won't, if he keeps this up, he won't be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
What we're saying is your topic of conversation, which you started back at the house, was that Jayson Tatum, with the numbers he's putting up now, to this day, is going to get him into the Hall of Fame.
That's not what I mean. Of course I'm not talking about, when I say that, like I just told you, if the Minnesota Timberwolves was playing right now and Anthony Edwards was playing, I would say the same thing. This dude is a surefire Hall of Famer. Should he go into the Hall of Fame after 4 years? Of course not. But I'm going to tell you right now, he's a surefire Hall of Famer. Unless that man gets hurt, he's in the Hall of Fame. Do you think that's a ridiculous statement?
No.
So why would you say that about Tatum?
Oh my God. Does he not understand what I'm trying to say to him?
Please, I need you guys to comment on this one because I'm going
to say it one more time.
Yeah.
Listen, nobody in this room is disagreeing with the fact that the path that Jayson Tatum is on right now, he will most likely make to the Hall of Fame. Nobody's disagreeing with that fact, okay? You got that part? Mm-hmm. What we were just arguing about was a miscommunication, was that we thought you were saying, because he did say
I
that.
said he's a Hall of Famer.
No, let me finish.
Okay.
That with his numbers right now, if he just stopped playing basketball...
I never said that. Why would I say that?
Nobody said that.
Oh.
I'm not saying you said that. I'm not saying you said that. I'm saying that was the topic of conversation back at the house. That's why we were looking at you like you were stupid.
This makes no sense. He just said, and we can rewind this tape. He just said that I stated if with his numbers right now he's a Hall of Famer, and that's why they got pissed off. But I'm telling you that's not what I said, because of course I can't say Jayson Tatum is a Hall of Famer right at this moment. Of course I mean that you have to look at the duration of his career. I don't see why that's hard. And again, my thing is, if you and your argument to it to say that again, that's foolish. That's absolutely crazy. To me, that's crazy to say that because this dude's number, that's offensive. That's why I'm like, I can't wait. I have to go to the gym and talk about this because this dude's numbers, that's offensive to say like. Oh my God, how can you say that? What do you mean, how can I say that? This guy's got numbers that should be Hall of Fame numbers. Again, we don't know what's going to happen for the next 5 years. But he's got more years than Anthony Edwards. If he have another 4 years, 3 years like this, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't see any reason why these, again, unless he gets a critical injury where it's like, yeah, he's just not the same player. And even then, he's borderline at that point. But for sure, if he goes another 3 years at this pace, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think anybody in the room is disagreeing with that. Yes? So why would that be a foolish statement for me to say?
Why did you still not understand what I'm trying to say? Let's talk about this on the phone.
No,
we're wasting time.
What am I missing?
We're wasting time.
His whole point, right, in which you say, obviously is not true. Jayson Tatum, this is his numbers here, right? Mm-hmm. You take all of his numbers here, mm-hmm. and if, God forbid, some injury happens and he can't play basketball anymore and he has to end his career, what he says you're saying back at the house is that if he were to retire with these numbers right now, he would be a Hall of Famer.
All right, we're going to move on, but I'm going to say this again. When did I say that?
That was the question that was the conversation that Isaiah asked you. That was the question he asked you.
No, of course, that's a ridiculous thing to say. That I would say that if he retired right now, we don't know that. We always have these conversations about Hall of Fame people. Of course, I'm not saying that if the guy retired. Of course, the body work. As I said, you guys know I talk about Penny Hardaway all the time. I'll say it again a fourth time. One of the most talented players I've ever seen. No question about it. Somebody even brought him up today, like, oh, you mentioned your boy Penny. Listen, but I won't say he should go into the Hall of Fame because he got hurt. So why would I say that Jayson Tatum, off an incomplete career, should go into the Hall of Fame right now. I did not say that. Let's like you said, nevertheless, let's go to the next thing. Minnesota versus Golden State.
Shot. Warriors are cooked. If they can get Steph Curry back, I still think that they can win the series. Depending on how well he can play on a hurt hamstring, which you say is probably the most difficult injury in basketball. But if Steph Curry can come back, I don't think he can. I think they said, maybe Game 6 they'll reevaluate him if it even goes that far. But without him, Minnesota is just going to dog walk the team.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that they have enough to do anything without Steph Curry? Can they still win this series without Steph Curry?
Yes.
Do you think they can win the series?
Yes, they have Jimmy Butler. You telling me you don't think Jimmy Butler can carry a team?
No.
What are you talking about, man?
Not current Jimmy Butler.
Are you serious?
Not current Jimmy Butler. No. Absolutely not.
What do you like? This guy puts up 30 with Curry on the court.
When? When's the last time he had 30 points?
Look up the Houston series.
While he's looking that up, I do like Jimmy too, and I do think Jimmy Butler. I guess Isaiah is saying that he's no longer that Jimmy, but Jimmy did it with Miami.
Yes, that Jimmy can do it. This current Jimmy, where he's going to the media talking about something, I'm a pass first guy, he can't do it.
Well, he's a pass first guy when Stephen freaking Curry.
But Steph Curry's not on the court.
So what do you think he's gonna do? You think he's gonna pass to Brandon Pokuševski?
Yeah, that's what he did.
This is hard for me to say. I mean, it's almost kind of the argument we just had. I guess we kind of have to wait and see what's going to happen. I do agree with Aaron that, in a certain sense, that Jimmy can do it, but Isaiah is not wrong in saying that we haven't seen him, kind of do that up to this point. So, oh man, I mean, at the same time, let's put into the equation, how good. And I got crucified for this one as well. I've been getting cooked on the show, so I was really ready to go today. How good is the Minnesota Timberwolves? I said, if not last week, maybe the week before that probably was last week when they dusted off the Lakers. Look, the Minnesota Timberwolves have a pretty good opportunity to actually go to the finals. And again, I got crucified bad, and I stand by that one. What do you guys think about that at this point?
I mean, because they make the finals. I mean, I guess if you want to say it, I'm not gonna laugh at you, but in my eyes, there's no shot that the Minnesota Timberwolves are beating Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, I'm with him on that one.
In a 7-game series, no shot. Both
that
teams
face
are
right
young.
there, that face right there just told the story. You know damn well. You forgot about OKC. Come on.
I did not.
No. Both teams are still very young. Mm-hmm. Although they did have a playoff run, they got their little playoff experience there.
Minnesota.
Yeah, they got their little playoff experience there. Mm-hmm. They're both still very young. Nobody really has that much of an edge on anyone, so it's just straight basketball between the two. And if you're just playing straight basketball, no experience, no nothing, you kind of just even there. Yeah, no. Minnesota Timberwolves do not come out in the 7-game series.
Well, I'm gonna jump ahead. I'm gonna jump ahead on my schedule here, and now we have to. This is a great lead-in. At this point, it's not a foregone conclusion that Oklahoma City is going to get out of this round.
They're not losing.
They're down 2-1.
Yes.
They lost in overtime.
Mm-hmm. Not
they put 2 points in the overtime.
You're saying for sure they won't beat the Denver Nuggets?
What?
You're saying for sure that Oklahoma City will beat the Denver Nuggets for sure. All right. So you heard it here first. What do you think? What do you think about that series? I mean, again, Denver Nuggets are up 2-1. They thrashed them in the first game. I think Oklahoma City came back and thrashed Denver in the second game. A very close game last night.
No, they didn't thrash in the first game. First game was practically a buzzer beater, I thought. With Aaron Gordon.
Oh yeah, Aaron Gordon's buzzer beater.
Sorry. All right.
I still pick OKC to win that series. I mean, it's 2-1 their way, but eventually you can't just have Jokic on the floor. Jamal Murray is playing good this series. I saw Aaron Gordon was doing all right, but you got, honestly, it depends how you look at it. MVP of the league, I think we all here agree that it's Jokic.
You really?
Right? Oh no, you still SGA?
Yeah, I think he's going to win it.
So who do you think is the best player in the series?
too early to tell.
Okay,
It's a playoff. I mean, I think it's a standoff.
So for me and Aaron, Jokic, right?
Mm.
And then the second best player would be SGA. The third, honestly, I'd give it to J-Dub over Jamal Murray, but you can do whatever.
OKC, okay.
And then I put Jamal Murray. Then I'm putting Chet. And then, honestly, I would put Isaiah Hartenstein over Aaron Gordon and...
It's close to Gordon.
No, Aaron Gordon is nice. Don't get me wrong. I'm putting Isaiah Hartenstein.
In this series.
What?
Huh?
What?
What?
You put Hartenstein over Aaron Gordon?
I thought Aaron Gordon is really playing well this series.
He's very valuable this year.
No, don't get me wrong. He's very valuable. Don't get me wrong. But I think OKC just has the better team.
Of course. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. I think that OKC has a more deep and talented team than Denver. There's no question about that. There is no question. I guess this is very interesting because you do see the head-to-head matchups between the two guys. You know, Jokic and
SGA.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, this is a really hard one for me to really kind of. It's just going to be interesting to see how it plays out. This could be. It's not supposed to because the MVP is supposed to be for the regular season, but maybe this could be the determining factor for, you know, who gets the MVP, or certainly what people think at the end of the day. If SGA beats, you know, Oklahoma City wins, do you give it to him?
Nah.
You still give
because
it
just like you said, it's based on the season.
It's supposed to be based on the season.
I don't really look at the playoffs like that. If you looked at the playoffs, then Joel Embiid would have never won an MVP.
Well, that's certainly true.
Because then his MVP season he lost in the first.
I think so.
I want to say.
I think so. This guy doesn't even seem like he even plays in the NBA anymore. He's just a disaster. Let's be honest. But that's going to be a very interesting series, and I think for me, I mean, I'm a Minnesota fan, so I'm a little bit biased, of course, but I definitely give Minnesota a shot to get to the finals. And if they get to the finals, who knows? You know, it's open season. They can also beat any team in the East. I think. Not to say that they're favorite, but I think they can. Put it. In other words, I don't think anybody would thrash the Minnesota Timberwolves at this point. Would you agree with that at least?
Thrash them like what? If they make it?
If they was to play OKC, you think it's a thrashing that OKC just fairly easily beats Minnesota? Yeah. You think the same thing too?
No, I wouldn't say so. No.
I think that series would go max 6. Max.
Okay. Let's back up now and get back to the East and talk about Cleveland and Indiana. Turning out to be a pretty interesting series. I mean, all these series are wild in terms of like so many losses on people's home court floors. It happened again today, unfortunately, with the New York Knicks. So in that series, no one has won on their home floor so far. We've seen that happen, obviously, with Cleveland and Indiana. Indiana beat Cleveland both games. So that's the same thing in that series. They beat them both games in Cleveland, then they go back to Indiana, and then Indiana turns around and loses, that game. What are you guys thinking about that series? You still think that obviously Cleveland is the number one team in the East. You still think that they have the edge over Indiana, even though they're down, 2-0 and don't have the home court advantage.
Yes, no question.
No question.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Indiana is one of those teams that, I mean, Aaron is constantly on Indiana about, having a poor season, which speaks for itself. Halliburton also having a poor season, which speaks for itself. There's no argument or dispute there. But even going back to last year, I don't like Indiana. I'm not an Indiana Pacers fan at all. Even going back to the Reggie Miller days, I haven't gotten over that. And I couldn't stand Reggie Miller. But Halliburton kind of reminds me, I don't want to insult Reggie, his game is different in a certain sense, but he does play very well in the playoffs. He really causes some trouble. He's a big time player in the playoffs, so those are dangerous type of guys. Those 2 games that they won in Cleveland, he was sensational. Hitting the game winners, so it's tricky. This is going to be a very good week of basketball to see. There's some huge game 4s. We'll finish up with that on basketball and talk about game 4s and what do you think? Let's start off with the New York Knickerbockers. Game 4 Monday night. What are you leaning towards happening once again at Madison Square Garden? That's kind of, I don't think it's a must-win. I think we can still go 7 even if we lose that game. You think that they won't go 7? You think Knicks get swept at that point?
Yep.
Okay, so all right.
It's a must-win game.
So what do you got? What do you think happens on Monday?
I think Boston keeps their fire. I don't think Peyton Pritchard will play as well as he did tonight. I mean,
Right.
he led their team in scoring. 23 points. Without him, they probably wouldn't have won tonight. Or today, because it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I don't know why they do that. But if we just need to get everything figured out. Do we or do we not want OG Anunoby to shoot the basketball? One game he'll shoot 20 shots and get 30. The next game he's shooting 6 shots with 8 points.
Right.
And then this one, 6 shots with 2 points.
Right.
So I really don't understand. I need to see how bad Cat's Whittle is. Crying about the injury that happened way into the regular season. Whatever.
Right.
I can't speak for him. Mikal Bridges, I need him to just consistently knock down some freaking 3-pointers, man.
Right.
I mean, he'll be wide. I mean, the first plays of the game, he was wide open, and I think he missed like 2.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, come on, man. And then I need something off the bench. If we're really going to run a 9-man rotation and play Deuce, Cam, and Precious, so be it. But I need them to do something. Precious played good. He played all right. I think he played like 8 minutes and had 6 points. Not mad at it. Deuce is honestly not played well the entire playoffs.
Yeah, I hear you, right. More down than up.
More down than up. Campaign is he's up and down. They play him and
He's down.
He don't think he had a good game this whole series. We're thinking about the last series.
Last series he did okay.
He
did okay.
Game.
He had a good
game.
Yeah.
I thought he did okay. But either way, I just need something off the bench. And if, God forbid, we lose this series, Tibbs.
You might get fired.
Tibbs.
You might get fired.
Tibbs.
It's true.
I don't know what to tell you, bro.
I mean,
something has to
So
change,
game
bro.
4, what are you picking?
Knicks. I'm always going to pick the Knicks.
Yeah, we definitely need that game, or it is wraps for the New York Knicks. And I'm talking, they take it back to Boston, and they pack us up there.
Let's one apiece.
Yeah, no, but I'm telling you, they're gonna take if we lose this, they're
We go
taking
back
it
to
to Boston, and they're packing up the series there.
No, because
I'm telling you, when we go down 3-2, if we go down 3-2, that's a wrap.
So you're saying they're gonna come back to New York and beat us again here in the Garden in Game 6?
3-2?
Yeah.
Yeah. If it gets that, hopefully it doesn't get to that point.
Okay.
But if it gets to that point,
Fair enough.
yeah. I need Carl to stop shooting so many threes.
Oh my God, please.
For God's sake, you have Jayson Tatum. Now, Jayson Tatum, he's a tall dude. What is he, like 6'9"?
But he can't guard. He can't.
But I mean, come on, Jayson Tatum is not a defensive
He can't
dude.
guard contact.
But they were trapping him every time he went down low. You had Jayson Tatum on me, on Cat, and Derek White following right behind him.
No, what they did was they had Al Horford coming behind JT. If anything, just post the dude up and take the fade or something.
And which he did a couple times.
We gotta put this guy in the
But
post.
I mean,
and if nothing else, let him wreak havoc and pass the ball to the open.
he should be throwing this guy around in the paint. No, I hate it when he comes up. They just give him the ball at the
starts
logo,
dancing on the post.
and
What are you
then,
doing,
and then
bro?
he just shoots. I hate that.
I agree.
So please, for the love of God, stop that.
Yeah, I agree.
Stop
We need to
shooting
get
half-court
OG.
shots.
We need to get OG the ball more.
I agree.
Mikhail needs to stop.
Yeah.
Selling.
He needs to stop.
Don't wait till the fourth
He
quarter.
needs to stop disappearing the first 3 quarters, especially the first quarter.
Yeah.
Especially the first quarter. He needs to stop disappearing. It's like he's not even on the floor. I forget it. If he wasn't on the floor for so long, I would forget he was on there. Josh Hart, I don't know.
I will never complain about Josh.
I can't
Hart.
complain about Josh, but you know what it is with Josh, and I think I said that to
He
him.
can't shoot.
Yeah, it's just certain things, and you can't blame him. That's just who he is. You're not, and sometimes you feel like the ball is sticking because these teams be leaving Josh Hart wide open. They don't even run to him. JB will give him the ball. He's behind the 3-point line. He's got a clear shot. He'll be like, and pass. Like, that's kind of a problem. But it just gives you so much more. So it's a tough thing to. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
JB said he worked on his shot this summer, and he said it's one of the hardest he's seen Josh work. And hearing him say that, and looking at how Josh shoots, I'm like,
it just can't. Some guys
Really?
just can't do it. It's not in that. It's not that he. Listen, clearly Josh Hart is one of the hardest working guys in the league.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
Love him.
But he's just not a good shooter. That's all there is to it. He's never going to be a good shooter.
He's fine.
It is what it is. But can we work around that?
No. And as much as I hate to say it, That's why I want him on the bench. I need.
Hold on.
Listen.
No. You're out of
I
here.
need somebody on the floor that can shoot.
No.
Because they leave Josh Hart open to go double Brunson, double Cat, and then
the
we're
problem
on the
is,
bench.
particularly with what do you do now in critical spots?
Look,
Should he be finishing the games?
Josh?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't like
In a critical situation, 103 tie games, I absolutely think he should be in there. On the defensive and offensive end. But my thing is, if they can play him, if they play the cards right with him this offseason, I feel like they could definitely make this guy into a mini magician.
What do you mean?
No chance.
What do you mean?
Have him floating around in the mid range. Don't have this guy out and about at a
Should be at the
3-point.
3-point. I agree with that. But he shouldn't be
Like
receiving the ball.
He'll get
I agree with
he'll
that.
get whacked around in the paint. The
No, I
guy's
agree
only
with
like
that.
6'6".
I agree with that. He shouldn't be receiving the ball.
But if he can't shoot the three,
he shouldn't be.
he's in the NBA. For God's sake, there's no way he cannot knock down the mid range.
No, I agree with that. He shouldn't. But that's a point guard, and that's a Tibbs problem because he should not be. He shouldn't because Josh, a lot of the time is getting the ball behind that 3-point line. And as you said, I think we can all agree that he's just not going to ever be a good 3-point shooter. And so he shouldn't even be receiving the ball out there. And the offense is an excellent point, Aaron. The offense should be set up to where, bro, you shouldn't be getting the ball out there. JB, if you give him the ball out there, you're going to go come sit down. He needs to be giving the ball around those perimeters where he can make shots. You shouldn't be giving guys the ball in a position where, they can't make shots. So I want to do boxing, but I want to get to, I was going to be quick hitters. Give me a quick hitter on Game 4, Indiana-Cleveland.
Cleveland.
OKC, Denver. They're also at 2-1. What do we do?
Who's home?
Okay.
Who's home?
Denver's home.
I'm still picking OKC. That's the problem. OKC.
Okay, so he's not going down there.
I can't see them going down
I'm
3-1.
going to say Denver. I'm going to just be a little different on that one. I'm going to say Denver.
Denver wins that series.
Yeah.
Minnesota's going to the championship.
Minnesota and Golden State. What are we? Is that 2-1?
1-1.
Oh, it's 1-1.
Yeah,
So,
it is.
what do you guys think for Game 3? I think that's tonight. You're right. It's a tough one because we don't know what's going to go on with the injuries.
Minnesota. Is Ant playing?
Ant's playing.
I don't know. I think he went down in Game 2.
What are they playing in Golden State, right?
Yeah. Because Golden State was a lower seed.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were. Golden State was the 7th seed. What seed was the?
Oh, yeah, right.
So it was in Golden State this game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm picking
Who
Minnesota.
you picking tonight?
Minnesota.
I mean, I'd like to say the Warriors won.
I'm going to say, I'm a fan, so I'm going to say Minnesota. So we'll see what we get with that. Let's wrap up with some quick hitters on boxing, just to kind of talk about that. It's official. I think we talked about that last week, but we didn't get into it. We won't really be able to get into it this week, but it is official. Bud and Canelo, it's on and popping. I don't know if you guys saw the face-off.
I did.
One of my guys who I have great respect for, Robert Garcia, one of the great trainers, Mikey Garcia's older brother, and that family, Garcia family, I have so much respect for. Robert Garcia also was a world champion, fought Floyd Mayweather, lost, but he actually said, you know what, I got to switch my pick. And this is where Aaron gets pissed about stuff like that when people do that. But it is true. He said, in looking at the Canelo fight, one, he didn't like what he saw. I'm not going to say that necessarily, that part. But he said that in looking at the face-off, which this did surprise me a little bit too, the height.
Terrence is taller.
I didn't know that.
Canelo's always been smaller than
I didn't really know that.
everybody he fights. Let's be honest. So I'm not worried about that at all.
Bro, you serious? This guy's changing his pick.
I didn't change.
No,
I'm not talking about. Bro, you jumping the gun a lot today.
Calm down. This guy's changing his pick because he saw Canelo is shorter than Terrence Crawford.
That's why, or is there?
No, he said two reasons. He said
Okay.
that, and he said that he didn't like what he saw
I mean,
in the Canelo skull
first of all,
fight.
you can't. See, this is.
See, I told you, he gets pissed when people change the pick. He goes crazy.
No, this is what I'm talking about. Because even you like to say how you can't say that. It was just one fight. How are you gonna say that when this guy has a lifelong career of winning championships, knocking guys out?
That's fair.
I can't.
The problem,
you cannot make that point.
The thing is, sometimes when you see certain styles, because that's what you're watching, particularly as a trainer, you're watching to see how he's handling a certain style. And Robert Garcia's point was, this guy was not able to just run this guy down. The guy was just clearly just boxing. He wasn't doing much. But that's obviously Terrence Crawford doesn't quite fight that way, but he is more of a boxing guy. But he's 100% better than Skull. So if you were having trouble walking him down, cutting off the ring, he's just saying that I felt like he was a little slow in being able to cut the guy off in the ring. So those were the little things that he was like, I'm going to switch.
Who's William Skull?
That was who he fought.
The guy he fought. All right, he's the problem.
But I'm saying, listen, my point is nobody knows who that is.
Okay.
So Canelo going into this fight with Crawford is not going to think like, whatever. I promise you Canelo's going to train harder than he has in the last couple of years. Who was his last big fight? Canelo. Floyd?
No. For a fight, like, if we're going to compare...
really got up for the fight?
If we're going to compare a fight like
name-wise, who was Canelo's last big fight?
I mean, he lost to Bivol, but it wasn't Bivol, because Bivol
was lucky at nobody.
Big name,
at that point, he was a nobody. So he was Floyd.
I knew who he was, but yeah, probably the fight that he really, I would say, got up for was that fight. I'm not going to lie.
He was going to train.
I mean, I like that point.
Just as hard.
That you're saying that, you can't really look at the Skull fight because again, who is Skull? And maybe he didn't quite, get up to that levels. And as he said after the fight, I hate fighting guys like this. And he probably was just like, I'm not in the mood to chase anybody. So I'm not going to chase this guy. But I think in the Terrence Crawford fight, and Terrence Crawford is not going to be quite moving the way Skull was moving because I didn't,
Terrence Crawford's a brawler.
Yeah, he's going to stand there and fight at some point. He's not a brawler, but he's standing there and fight.
You don't think so? The only way he wins that fight is if he fights like Bivol. Bivol is 10 times a better boxer.
So you're picking Canelo to win the fight?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, you got everybody's
but I'm saying the only way I see him winning that is fighting a fight like Bivol and boxing him out.
Yeah,
Bivol in my opinion, Bivol is a clear cut 10 times better boxer than
Canelo.
No,
Crawford.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I said that. I said that.
I give it to him.
And
you talking about skill wise or just in general?
No, skill wise.
Yeah, skill wise.
If I want someone to box out in that ring, I think Bivol is way better at doing that than Terrence is.
I'm not going to.
Because I feel like Terrence is more of an aggressor, and Bivol knows how to play his cards.
Bivol's very technical.
He knows how to play his cards.
Bivol gave Canelo so much trouble because he was so strong. And he can box him, and Canelo just couldn't go rush up on him. Where I think Canelo, in my opinion, he's going to be able to rush up on Crawford.
When he gets caught, when he gets hit on his chin, there is no saving that man. Especially if it's mid round. If he hits him with a good shot, man, he's not going to recover.
And at the end of the day, my biggest thing, which I say to literally everybody who asks me about this, is Crawford is jumping up 3 weight divisions. I think 2 or 3 weight divisions.
Yes, 3.
3 weight divisions, and is fighting immediately the guy.
Right, with
in the division, with no prior fight,
right.
No tune-up fight to it. You're just gonna go straight in with the guy.
We saw this happen.
Impossible task.
And not to compare the 2 fighters, but we saw that happen with Charlo. He tried to do that against Canelo. And he said that was a problem. He was like, I jumped, and he didn't even jump 3. I think he jumped like 2 weight classes. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of a problem. I'm going to end it with this point. This is kind of a boxing business point, but I think it's important. The fight is officially September the 12th in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, which is we just finished having WrestleMania there. 60,000 seats available. What are you guys thinking in terms of the business of boxing? Is that a mistake to put that fight? We'll get into whether it's on a Friday, which is odd, but do you think that they can fill Allegiant Stadium with this fight?
No.
Not unless they fill it with 60,000 Mexicans.
That was crazy.
Well, the Mexicans, yeah.
Ain't nobody from Omaha, Nebraska. No disrespect to Omaha, Nebraska, of course, but I mean, come on. How many people are in Nebraska?
I mean, he's going to have his people, but even with that, because that's big. The Mexican fighters bring out. I just came back from Vegas, and the Japanese was there deep, no doubt, for they to support the Inoue, which was a great fight. So they come out. I mean, going back to the country may come out, or your people, local people, they come out. But it's only so many people. You can't. We're talking about 60,000. So even if they gave Omaha, Nebraska, they gave them 5,000 seats. That's a lot. If they gave them that amount of tickets,
5 minutes.
you still need another 55,000. And let's say you gave the Mexicans 5,000. You still need 50,000 people.
No, they can't do it.
I don't see how they're going to do it.
I don't think Boston. I don't think any.
Oh,
I don't think a lot of boxing cards can sell out. I think before the Times Square thing happened, I think Haney versus Ryan had the best chance to sell out an arena.
I agree.
But
you say
now
that's the biggest. So we'll end with that. That's a very good question. What do you guys think is the biggest fight in boxing that could fill up? I don't think anybody, like you said, can do a stadium. But what do you think is the biggest fight in boxing that they can make that can bring a good crowd?
Look, Devin and Ryan is a good point, but I feel like
It's a done deal now.
I feel like
They called it off, right?
I don't know. We don't know.
a Benavidez and a Canelo.
Ooh, that's
Cause that.
point.
Let me tell you something. That is a lot of Mexicans that are going to be in the house for that. Let's say that.
Here's the question.
And then Canelo is a big name for Americans. You know, to boxing fans, people you got to know Benavidez if you watch boxing.
Is Benavidez
Benavidez not a household
That's
name.
what I was going to say. Is Benavidez Canelo bigger than bigger than Canelo and Bud?
As a boxing fan, I would say yes.
No. I'm talking about sell it.
No way.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say no.
I'm saying no.
I'm gonna have to say no too. Neither one of them is to me is really huge, but I think that you probably because of the Arrow fight, people do know Crawford a little bit more. I don't think Benavidez is my favorite boxer, but I don't think he got a bigger following
He
than.
doesn't have enough emotion.
Not yet for I don't think he got a big enough following. I don't think he has a bigger following than Bud Crawford, but we'll see. I mean, these are the things that it's on the table for us. Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. I'll tell you the fight's going to be on a Friday. UFC is doing some kind of trickery here. I don't know what's going on. Very risky and tricky thing, but.
Shout out Manny Pacquiao, guys. He's coming back.
Shout out to Manny Pacquiao.
You're gonna get hurt, man. You're gonna get hurt. I don't know why
he's not taking
a fight like Mario Barrios.
Yeah, Mario Barrios is a good fight.
He could have at least chose a bomb.
Yeah, but he's
He wants
going
to
for the
retire
title.
champion,
He's going for the title. Anybody think he can win that fight?
No.
Yeah.
You think he can win?
I'll give it to him just because he left boxing and came back and beat Keith Thurman. So
Yeah, but he still was kind of
I'll
still
give him
boxing, kind of. So it wasn't like now. Like now he's really out of boxing to
How
come
old
back.
is Manny Pacquiao?
Manny Pacquiao's got to be almost 50.
No, he's not that.
He's not almost 50. Almost, not 50.
I think he's closer to 40 than 50. I don't think he's over 45. I don't think. But we'll see. We'll get back to that one next week. This is a good show. It's going to be a very good week. Good playoff basketball. And obviously some more stuff to talk about with boxing. At some point, we will get to some other sports. But right now, these are the two things that are hot. So this is the On Second Thought Sports Show. Isaiah?
Like and subscribe.